Charleton, I'm going to call you to do the intro.
Wow.
Just kidding. This song is called Boom. Breaking
it's
that.
Called. No, that's
what,
it.
no,
It's called.
No, what's it called?
It's called. Yeah.
This is like the Who's on First skit. Welcome back to another episode of Breaking the Line. I'm Samuel.
And I'm Charleton.
Taking a deep dive into the arts of mime and choreography. Tell them what the song's all about. I'm going to call you or blah blah blah. This is the bit. This is all a bit.
Yeah, sure. I use 10 out of 10 bits. So the song is called. It's
called what?
It's called. Okay.
No,
Don't
it's
get it
called
confused.
what?
No. It's not what. It's called.
Called what?
Who's on first?
Yeah.
So the song is called, and it's our Act 2 song for Moses. We had commencement
last
called,
week,
and then that was compact.
Yeah,
next.
We're not gonna belabor the Project Understory stuff. Watch last week's episode, or heck, any of the Project Understory podcasts we've done. You should know by now. Come on, get with it.
Project Understory, you get it. Bible and Mime. This is the second act of the Moses trilogy.
Boom.
So the point of this song is it's kind of like encompassing the Exodus. And with the Exodus, of course, we have like Moses becoming a leader, and then going into the wilderness and stuff like that. It's
Let my people go. No.
Yeah, that kind of.
We're gonna have some fun theologically because this song doesn't have all the people, but when we have the Trinity in there, we're gonna have some fun showing, Pharaoh's heart getting hardened, with a black sash or something like that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But also link down below to another song called Exodus, right?
Yep.
Exodus.
So Exodus, what he's talking about is a really good pretty old mime song at this point, which I actually had the All Camp Mime use a staff in that song, and the staff that was used there was actually the origin of using the staff here in Called.
Yeah.
And then by it being in Called, like that kind of expanded into using props for different things in Project Understory.
Yep. So when we finally get to the song chronology, it kind of culminates with all of these props. We got the black/white scarves. So the black scars being sin, the white scars being somewhere between holiness and like purity and the Holy Spirit. Kind of gets multi-purpose there. The staff, which is kind of like the leadership role of Israel and / the church, and otherwise, Peter gets the staff, which is definitely being him the first pope.
He gets a big pope hat too. No.
We get the crown, which is similar to the role, but kind of the kingly type of feel with the domain, a little different than the staff. You get the coat of many colors, which is the suffering servant, and then you have the priestly red sash, which Moses will get eventually when we get to Compact, which, spoiler, that was kind of added in after the fact. So the next song won't have it, but eventually we'll throw those props.
These are things that we're retconning just because, like, as we're moving along this, we're like, oh man, we should have done that. But what's great is like, we can. So there was some things that I'm sure we'll reference that'll be like, well, that doesn't happen yet, but it will in the final project.
And it's cool because then Jesus gets all the stuff, because it's kind of our way of saying that Jesus is the fulfillment for that. Gonna use a term that's nerdy, that's gonna trigger like -2 people in the comments. It's a Christocentric hermeneutic. What I mean by that is not what you think I mean by that. Rather, it's saying Christ is the fulfillment of these types, right? New David, a new Moses, a new Elijah, a new prophet, that perfect person that we're looking. A new Adam. That's very biblical, I think. Thank you, Romans.
Yeah. So Christocentricist gang in the comments below.
You can fight me down below about how we want to use those terms, but that's what I'm saying, because it's focusing on how Jesus is the fulfillment of the whole Testament.
Yeah.
And so Moses gets to be connected to that, which we talked about last week, but I think we need to get into this song.
Yep, let's get into it.
All right, literally picking up right where we left off the last song, except, oh, wait. There's new people on stage.
Yeah,
what
you
happened?
might notice different people. So this is actually, we had a technique team, kind of a class going on, and I had all the people in the technique
Look at
class
that mime technique.
give like a lot of input on stuff that I wanted them to do for
that was I love this picture over here where he gets to point back over there.
Sent you.
Yep. So here's the burning bush, by the way, and then
yeah, there'll be more people. There was very few people.
Yeah.
Also, we had one person get sick during the middle of this week, so it kind of got retconned for the song a lot.
Yeah.
But I do love, and we'll probably put Pharaoh
my people
back on top stage right.
I do not
upstage,
know your God,
stage left.
and I will not let Israel
Yep.
go.
Also, the narration
Because
on this
of
song,
you,
I should note,
I
is
will
very
not supply
unique in
straw
Project
for
Understory
making
in that
rich.
there's not a lot of narrative.
Let
It's
them
actually a lot
gather
of
their own
dialogue.
straw.
And I did that on purpose to kind of break up the flow of things, to kind of make it more
Yeah, because there's not a whole lot of. Then they did this. No, I
Mhm.
like the dialogue because the dialogue is what you really need.
Yep.
But yeah,
Also,
we'll probably end up mirroring this song as far as like staging when we
Water.
fix everything.
To blood.
Plus, you'll have more people to do all of the plagues.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The plagues. I have one person doing the plagues here. I want like 20.
Yeah. When you get frogs and flies.
Yeah, because like I was gonna have like a group of frogs come in, and then the next people, because you'll see Sean kind of like switch over into
right.
the next one.
One man mime here.
Lice.
Look at that facial expression.
And each one of these plagues was gonna be like switching in and out
Disease.
as
Oh, yeah.
with different things.
Yeah.
Boils.
I think we get the idea. This is, again, similar to a beta version.
Thunder.
I would just
and
probably
hail.
stage it again.
Locusts.
Same place that we've kind of put that rulership role.
Unnatural darkness.
Yep.
But I do like how you did it with all of the different plagues because you get some cool mime technique out of it.
Yeah.
Moses.
Unnatural darkness.
I
That's a good way of
will
wording
bring
that.
one last plague on Egypt. Every firstborn son of the Egyptians will die. Then they will
Then
know.
the great irony
I
of the
am.
firstborn of children dying, reflective of earlier in commencement when Pharaoh killed all the children of the Hebrews.
Yeah, we'll probably get an angel here too.
Yeah.
I like this blood technique. Blood
Yep.
over the door.
Oh yeah, I had them do like blood.
yeah.
Kind of fun.
No, I love because it was a mime technique class specifically that you really tried to show all of this technique with
Leave my
where you could.
people.
Yeah, something we might have missed is
Worship
like
your
when they went
God
into
as
the
you
cave,
wanted
there was
to.
a lot of like spatial technique as well, which was kind of fun. Oh, also Emily is playing as Aaron. I don't know if I mentioned that. So you'll notice you got Moses and Aaron together, and then Sean is the Hebrew.
The Hebrews.
the Hebrew. He is the
I will
Hebrews.
lead you
Yeah.
with a pillar of smoke by
I like
day
that staff
and a
technique, you know,
pillar of
being able to
fire
mime
by
walk with it
night.
still.
Yep. And then we have the pillar. I was gonna have like this be. I was thinking of having this be like the Holy Spirit or one of the members of the Trinity be the.
I think that would be
Thing in
good.
the final-
I think it'd be cool. Plus, I think it would be cool if they did like a streamer that
Streamer
would
would
then
be pretty
focus on
interesting.
like celebration, the star.
Mhm.
I think this Holy Spirit should be the star.
Yeah.
Hot take.
Hot take.
Moses.
Not for tons
Raise
of
your
theological reasons.
staff
just
and stretch your
consistency.
hand over the sea to divide the
But-
water.
I also don't mind that this one doesn't have actors playing the water. I like this mime technique of the water.
Yeah. In the final version, I was probably gonna do the water, but
Well, however we're going to do it for Flood, we'll probably do it similar here because I think there's some ironic twist if we have the Flood that destroys the world and then the Flood
Yep.
waters that kill them.
you'll notice these two are coming real slowly in this moment. What was supposed to happen is there's supposed to be a lot more people coming in to go through, panicking, and then later on there's a lot of people.
We'll
coming
probably have to
through as the-
restage that too
those.
because it's a very narrow, not just this stage, but you don't have a lot of room from front stage to backstage.
Yeah.
So if you're going to kill like a whole herd of people, you'll want more space somehow.
Yeah.
But we'll figure it out.
Through my power, shown here, they will know
I'd almost stage it
am
similar to when Jesus walks on water, how you have like water down and water up.
Mhm.
I might do the Flood that way.
Maybe.
But some of these things might get changed, but it's a solid song overall. That's
Yep. And you might notice at the very end where God says, I am, because that's
I
actually in this story of where
am.
God reveals his preferred name, you might say, Yahweh.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
that guy.
that's where that comes from. The story of the burning bush specifically, but I added it to the end sort of as like a symbolic thing. You know.
That was the purpose and message.
That was part of the purpose of it and the message of it.
Say less. So you could say part of the purpose and message was the identity of Christ. I mean, sorry, of God. Okay, is that God the Father? Is that the Trinity?
What do you think?
I don't know, man. It's probably it could be the Son. Some people think it's the Son because
So-
Jesus shows up everywhere. Just
So what do you
unnaturally.
think? What do you think of this take? Yahweh is the Father's name. Jesus is the Son's name, and the Holy Spirit. What's his name?
Holy or ghost?
Sophia. No, I don't know. You know,
No,
wisdom.
I got it.
Not my take. I'm I'm kidding. I am joking.
Purpose and message of this song.
All right. So, purpose of message, of course, Exodus, Project Unknown Story. This is like
Specifically
as far as,
with this story though, because
Yeah.
it's very biblical. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's of course the story of Moses for the Exodus. This is part of what I think is really interesting in, you could say, the story of God,
Mhm.
where we have many aspects, like especially highlighted in creation, of the greatness of God. And then we have over here through basically everything else until this point is like the depravity of humanity, the constant decline and fall. But then when God comes in and he's like, I want to save my people, he stinking does, with the most crazy, outlandish way.
Can I put that in my theological paper? He stinking does.
He stinking does. You can cite me on that. Charleton Mills 2024. So, but like, that's kind of the point of this story, is like to demonstrate, like, and throughout the Bible after this, you'll notice that like it will say that I am the father of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I'm the God who took you out of Egypt. It is in direct reference to this right here, where like this was something very important that happened to the nation of Israel. And often, and in fact, what happens like less than 100 years later is everybody kind of forgets and stops caring, because what do you know? Like everybody who was physically there died, but then the next generation rose up who wasn't there, and they don't really care. And like, you could get into
you can compare it to America and all that too. Anyway, but I'm going to say this is the point of the song, purpose and message, is the theology. So theology section is getting bumped up here now. So theology is the purpose and message. Go figure. A biblical theology specifically, where we're saying here's the story of the Exodus. Go figure. With that, the sovereignty of God is a really big theme throughout the whole project, and I appreciated your emphasis on that and keeping that clear of God's work. Also, salvation. God saved a people before he gave them the law, I think, is a really important
he saved them. He saved them because they were his people, not because they did something right.
Well, he saved them before they were his people. There's a level of he saved them out of Egypt and then made the covenant at Mount Sinai. There was the part where he made them his people with Abraham.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Right, yeah. But there was a sense of which he delivered them and called them and saved them before he made the law came.
You could say. Yeah, okay.
And so there's a significance of the order of operations that come here about the plan of God and how that gets happened, of how he saves us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's super cool, and I love this story specifically because of that kind of emphasis on theology.
Highlighted well the power and purpose of God. We've gotten some decline of sin and people, what they've done, and you get another upswing. It's kind of like we've talked about this upswing of the Bible. You got creation and the fall. You get a little bit more dissension with flood. You get a little bit of Abraham, but then Moses here, you get like God stepping in. And then finally we'll get to curator where it goes back down again. But like this is the upswing of when God steps in, good stuff happens.
Yep, absolutely.
Till the people mess up again. But anyway, that's purpose message. Things about this song, Mime. Going well.
So positive things I really like, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, because of course I choreographed the song. Is like I liked taking it a different direction than other songs that I've done, having it just be dialogue,
mixing it up a little.
Because one of the things that has, I would say, naturally happened as a result of this project is a lot of the, I'll say, more obscure or less known stories end up getting a lot of narration, and the songs that are more well known,
the Old Testament,
a majority of the Old Testament. Looking at you specifically, Old Testament.
Looking at you, Dispies. Anyway,
so with that, like a lot of the Old Testament songs are just narration. This happened and this happened, and while I don't love that, it does work toward the goal that we're trying to do. It is within the vision of what we're trying to accomplish. And so I'm okay with it. This one takes it a little bit different because the story of the Exodus is pretty popular. A lot of people understand that story. Yes. And because of that, throwing in dialogue instead of narration, I wanted to do that specifically to kind of break up the monotony of the narration.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I wish I could do that more with some of the other stories later, but
I almost might use that trope when we get to Christ, because Christ is another one where people are very familiar with it, but adding a little bit of the narration would be a really cool way to take that, and that would kind of fix the problem of unclear parts that are happening through the story.
Sure. Yeah.
Write that down.
Yep.
Yeah, but as far as, so that's the most unique, and we'll get some style points because of it for sure. And clarity while you're at it, speaking in a unique way, up on both scales, which is hard to do. But the mime's very clear. Obviously this was for a mime technique class, so where they could, they added random mime technique, but I think it made it look really good with I saw the cave that he was going into and the waterfall and different parts of it. Obviously, critiques. It's just not enough people on stage.
Yeah, we need more people. We need more people, and we need more fleshing out of some of those. Which, once again, this suffered from the same thing that
just consider this the beta version. Just slap beta title on it, and then you can forgive all sins.
Yeah, For sure. Yeah. And so like I gave it a little bit more room to breathe, in my creation of it. I didn't have an exact picture, so there's probably more breathing room than should be necessary. But at the same time, like it's meant to have like a lot of that pacing of, not everything happening one after the other.
It's going to need it when you add all these people on stage too. Because you're going to have the people of Israel doing that loop and the people of Egypt coming after them. That's going to need to look like that.
Yeah.
Clips down to when we presented the mime song Exodus, when you got that many people on stage at the camp mime, that looked pretty awesome.
Yep.
And rightfully
It's
so.
a song with my favorite brick as well.
It highlights Charlton's favorite brick. Random side character moment.
This is just the dumbest thing.
It's so dumb. But yeah, that's my really only critique for the song. It's solid. As far as Project Understory stuff, like I said, we'll basically just mirror this entire song and it'll be fixed. Pharaoh over here, it actually be ironically the same staging as we had for Exodus when we did it as the camp mime, just the way the stage is shaped and all that stuff. But that's not this song. That's just the whole project.
Yeah, it's just retconning things for the sake of consistency.
Yeah,
which is totally cool. So another thing that I thought was kind of neat in this song was like we talked about the pillar of fire and the pillar of smoke. I think like a lot of songs that do the Exodus don't really emphasize that and other things, but it's like that was such a very unique way of God like presenting himself physically in a way that was like very iconic for God, of like, the great powerful tempest, but also the stable presence as well, classic God being symbolic and all that to get a point across to his people.
Speaking of symbology, hear me out. Unless we have definitive evidence to be like, was God the Father. And if I'm wrong on this, maybe I'm wrong. But it'd be really cool if Jesus was in the fire. Because then you would have the same fire as you would have chastening. I feel like there'd be something to be said about that. Or just the whole Trinity in the fire also would be cool, because I think that would make sense too.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever
Just a thought. Just
put
a pin in it.
On it. Put a pin in it in the board that's 7 miles long, and put a pin in it.
Sometimes we've put pin in things and they've been heresy, and we're like, actually, let's not do that. Yeah. It's kind of like this balance of making sure we're theologically accurate while being theologically significant, right? Trying to do things that are similar to be like, oh, that looked the same, so that then persons can draw conclusions. Yeah. We're trying. We're trying to be only like 10% heresy for this project. Maybe a little less. Anyway, we already did theology, so clarity, difficulty, style.
So what I think is interesting about this one, as far as clarity goes, is because it doesn't have the narration, it's not as clear as some of the ones that did. But because the story of Exodus is so popular, it is well known. And then adding the dialogue in adds to the clarity to make a little bit more. So as far as clarity goes, I'd give it like an 8, I'm thinking.
That's pretty clear. You're banking on a little bit of familiarity. Yeah. I'm thinking if somebody didn't know for whatever reason the song or the story, I think you're going to get the story beats of the song, even if you didn't understand all of it. If it's just a standalone song, I give it a 7. I'm going to go 7.
Fair enough.
Difficulty,
like with this one being the technique class, I think it had a little bit more difficulty than would have been. But in the final version, I will want a lot more of that technical prowess and stuff like that, because there is a lot of specific nuance to the mime stage that I do want to emphasize. So I think this one would be actually a little bit more difficult.
I think you're going to have to, with more people, coordinate a lot more blocking, a lot more timing with the plagues.
For sure.
So considering this is the beta, I think it's going to be pretty difficult to pull off on stage well.
Yep. Yeah, I'm going to give it, I think we can give it a 7.
I'm going to go 6.
6?
I think.
I think I'll give it a 6.
Oh, wow. Just caving to my
I don't know. I was going between a 6 or a 7, and I feel like, no, you know what? I'm going to give it a 7, just to be different from you. Just to be obstinate and abstinent.
And style. All right. So you got the style because of your narration. We've talked about it and tooted your own horn. Yeah. So style's there on that side of things. You can pat Charleton down in the comments.
Charleton praise gang in the comments below.
I thought you wanted people to comment.
Charleton hate gang in the comments.
Gonna break the internet.
It's gonna be everybody.
No, it's just gonna be you.
Ooh, got him.
So good style. I think again with the pictures and the staging as is, it's probably a little lower on style, but I think I'm gonna give it a 5. I feel like it's To be determined for me.
Yeah, I think once it
A
gets
5 with a little asterisk.
Yeah, once it gets kind of the full fleshing out and everything like that, I think it'll be a little bit more stylistic. So I'm gonna give it a 6.
Just be different than me.
Yeah,
that's fair. You can be different from us down in the comments below and hit
different gang in the comments
the
below.
like button, the subscribe button. We've been over this, you know.
Something that like scribe.
Yep, there's reasons for you to do that, because then the YouTube algorithm, like if you like this content, there's at least 9 other people that like this content.
It's like that one guy who ran for president against George Bush. If he was a rapper, he would be the Al Gore rhythm.
I'm Samuel.
And I'm Charleton.
Breaking the line. That was bad. That was bad. That was dated.
That's like the deepest cut.